Fans of John Grisham's legal thrillers know that occasionally he takes a break from the courtroom, and that is the case with his newest book, his 20th, titled Playing for Pizza. It's the comic tale of Rick Dockery, a washed-up third-string NFL quarterback whose prospects have become so bad the only football team that will have him is in Parma, not Parma, Ohio, Parma, Italy, the home of Parmesan cheese. John, good morning. Nice to see you. This is a scam.
This is a stretch.
This is, you decided you wanted a vacation in Italy and you wanted the government to pay for it, so you deducted this on your taxes. True or false? How do you plead?
True, guilty.
Yeah?
I've done it twice. I did it 3 years ago with the broker. I went to Bologna, hung out there, and gained 15 pounds, and I thought I would do it again this year.
And actually, it was while you were traveling in Italy that you first discovered there was such a thing as Italian football.
They have an NFL Italy. There are 8.
But it's not quite up to the standards of our NFL, is it?
It is to them.
Yeah.
These guys are not pros. They're part-time players. They love football. Each team can have 3 Americans. The quarterback's always an American. The coaches are usually Americans, and the Americans on the team are sort of the coaches too. But the guys love the football. They're very serious about it. They could probably play with a lot of D3 colleges.
Let's talk about the main character in this, Rick Dockery. He's a guy who was third string everywhere he went. I think he played for 8 teams in 6 years.
Yeah.
And he finally gets his chance in a playoff game for Cleveland.
Cleveland Browns.
And it's disastrous.
Yeah, Cleveland dominated the NFL. They had the game won 17-0. The second-string quarterback gets hurt. He goes down. Every team has to have a third-string quarterback, and Dockery was always good enough to be the backup's backup.
Because he was good on the sidelines.
He had a great arm.
Right, exactly.
He didn't like to hit. Didn't like to. I don't know why he played football, but he had a great arm, and they put him in the game. And
long story short, he loses the game, and he wakes up in the hospital, and he's called the greatest GOAT in the history of professional sports.
Yeah. I actually Googled greatest GOATs in sports when I was writing this.
Right.
And
who'd you come up with?
Well,
Buckner.
Poor Bill Buckner.
Sure,
is
absolutely.
At the top of every list. Jackie Smith, who dropped the touchdown pass. A sprinter from Canada who got caught doping. All kinds of stuff.
So he decides that he's out of pro football in the United States. He still wants to play. He still thinks he has game. He tells his agent to go out and find him something. He says he'll do anything but play arena football.
Yeah, he's not going to play arena football.
And he ends up in Parma, Italy.
Yeah. He needs to leave the country.
Right.
I mean, there are a lot of people.
Important.
Yeah, a lot of Cleveland Browns fans want to kill him. He has a lot of personal problems. He's broke. He's only 28 years old. He's got a great arm. It's all he's ever known. He's been a football player his whole life. So.
Were you nervous when you wrote this? Because actually what this does, in a funny way, it takes a look at life in Italy and how he adjusts. And were you worried, I think, about how much football you put in this? You didn't want it to be a football book.
Well, my wife hates football, okay? And she always reads it first. And she kept saying there's way too much football in this story. And my editor read it, he said there's too much food and wine in this story, okay? So that's part of the process. But I follow an entire season. They have a 8-game schedule plus playoffs. That's a lot of football, and I had to keep cutting it out.
The last book you did, and you were here to talk about it, was a real story. It was The Innocent Man. And is this in some ways, when you get to writing something as heavy as that, about a guy wrongly convicted, that you just say, okay, I want a literary vacation?
Yeah.
And that's what this was?
Absolutely. I needed to get away, take a break. It's a good story, but I wanted something light and funny.
And quick.
Something without any social redemptive qualities. Just a fun story. It's almost a travel piece. There's a lot of humor, a lot of good football.
Let me talk to you a little bit about politics, okay? Because you've been pretty careful. Most people know you were in the Mississippi State Assembly,
right.
Democrat. But in the time that I've known you on this show in terms of being an author, you've been pretty quiet about your political beliefs. You were quoted in a newspaper recently and said some pretty tough things about the administration. The war is an immoral abomination that we pay for decades to come. We're paying for it now at the rate of 100 kids a month while Bush plays politics with it. You went on to talk about the administration. I've always thought that they were bad people with evil intent and all that. It's playing out now. You can't hardly look at any aspect of the government in the 7 years or so far that's been run properly. Why'd you speak out like this now?
Well, I have my own personal opinions. I'm not sure they're remarkable, but I'm not going to stay quiet. I was asked that question in an interview, and I answered it, truthfully. I don't get really involved in politics. We do some fundraisers and things like that.
You just had one for Hillary Clinton, I believe.
And that's what prompted these questions and these responses. I said all that, and I still believe it. I mean,
personal opinions, but do you look at your fan base as a potent tool?
No.
To accomplish any kind of a goal?
My books have always had a lot of politics in them. There's a ton of politics in my books. Not all of them. But I've never shied away from political issues, and not going to now.
What's your next book?
Very political. The most political.
Is it really?
Oh yeah, the most political book I've written.
Also a legal thriller, though?
It's a legal thriller. It's about the election of Supreme Court justices around the country.
All right, we look forward to that one in January. This one's called Playing for Pizza. It looks like a lot of fun. John, good to have you here.
Always nice.
Pleasure. And you can find a sample of this book on our website at todayshow.com.